Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Before we went on that break, we were talking about the opportunity of the candidates to have an opportunity to do a reporter. And if you have any clarifications to make, please indicate, and you will have 1 minute. The candidate of the PDP indicated, right, please go ahead.
Well, let me clarify again what I said when I said fighting corruption is not an economic policy. It is not that you can't fight corruption, but you can fight it more aggressively while addressing economic issues. For example, in 2015, unemployment and underemployment was 24%. Today it's 40%. In 2015, we attracted $21 billion in foreign direct investment. We attracted only 17 last year. We attracted only 12 last year. That means it's going to, our GDP was 520 in 2015. Our per capita was 2,500. Today it's under 1,900. If you look at our stock market, it's lost over 2 trillion in 1 year. So that is not any policy. You're not creating jobs, you're not doing the right thing, and you're just fighting corruption. You can't shut down your shop and be chasing criminals.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, 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 there are rules and guidelines to this debate. You are not allowed to chair in the audience. You are not allowed to chair, and you are not allowed to jeer at anyone. Please, let's stick by the rules. Otherwise, we may be forced to remove you from the hall. Please, let's be matured. Thank you. Candidate of the APC.
Thank you very much. Let me say also that if you allow criminals to steal all the inventory in the shop, there will be no shop. That's the problem.
Please. That's the problem. Please, please.
And what has happened to Nigeria in the past 16 years is what the World Bank told us, that the major cause of our poverty is corruption. That's a major cause. That's what we've been told. So let me say that there is no way that we can minimize what has happened. We can't minimize corruption. If you minimize it, we run the risk of completely, in fact, the argument is lost. We cannot do what we want to do unless we're able to minimize corruption or eradicate it completely, which is what we're trying to do. I want to rebut the question about our debt figures. Frankly, I know that the candidate of PDP knows very well.
Unfortunately, sir, your time is up. And let me again say that each time you chair or jeer, you reduce the time of each candidate. And that time is very valuable, is very vital for him or her to make the necessary points. Please, let us reduce completely eliminate the chairing and jeering. Please. The next question is a common question for all the candidates. In 2016, when there was a major adjustment in the price of petroleum products from 87 naira to 145 naira, Nigerians reluctantly accepted this price hike in the understanding that this was going to be the last and that the word petroleum subsidy will be banished from the Nigerian government's lexicon. Now we hear of subsidy again. What is any of you going to do differently to put this problem to bed? Candidate of the Allied Congress Party of Nigeria. 2 minutes.
Subsidy, subsidy, subsidy. That has been the greatest appeal that the resources of this nation have been frittered away. What our government in power will do is to do away with subsidy. You do away with subsidy. Firstly, there are a lot of inefficiency in the system. The PMF, the petroleum importers, sometimes it's round tripping. They do round tripping. In addition to this, there is no effectiveness in it. And let me tell you, by continuing with subsidy, we are killing the economy of this country and we are killing the people. We are doing away, our government in power, by the grace of God, will do away with subsidy. What we do is to deregulate the sector. In a situation where you fix prices, you are indirectly telling people not to come, but nobody will bring his capital into a sector that is not profitable. If petroleum product, if our crude petroleum is deregulated, there are international investors and local investors that will come to this country to come and establish industry, thereby creating so much jobs for our people. SCPN government in power will deregulate the petroleum sector because subsidy is not even in the interest of the common man. Some of us will have as many as 20, 30 cars. What are the common people on the street, the poor peasant farmers, what are they benefiting from it? Some of them don't even have a bicycle. The subsidy regime only favors the rich. And any policy or program of government that does not favor the poor and the common man on the street, I think should be do away with it. We will do away with subsidy so that we can create jobs massively.
Thank you very much
for our people.
Thank you. Candidate of the ANN.
Good evening, sir. Subsidy in Nigeria is fraught with corruption. And if transparency is being applied to the excess money being gotten from the balance of the subsidy, is going to tackle a lot of problems that has fraught the nation. What we're big on in Alliance for New Nigeria is the fact that, number one, we'll attack the institutions to ensure that there's enough transparency, there's enough technological issues, technological GPS that is being upgraded to ensure that every kind of corruption is tackled. If subsidy is being eliminated, what we want to do in Alliance for when it comes to is to, number one, diversify the economy, which I've mentioned before. If we're able to diversify the economy and stop the dependency of on oil products, we'll have little or no problem at all with subsidy. And once we are able to get the residue of the subsidy, we're using it to also do the four important things that we've always talked about, talking about restructuring of our infrastructure. We're talking about ensuring that most of these excesses are being allocated to various structures like education, health, healthcare system, and all, talking about the complete overall of the civil service system. So subsidy is not something that it's something that we tackle properly.
Thank you.
Yes.
Candidate of the APC.
Thank you very much. I think the major problem with subsidies are just the abuses that can attend a subsidy. A subsidy is not inherently a bad thing. It's really the abuses, and I'll explain very quickly. Now, what happened under the old subsidy regime was that several independent marketing companies would simply come in and say, we delivered 5 cargoes of PMS, whereas they delivered nothing or delivered only 1. And so they made the subsidy in the difference. Today, it is the NNPC that's the sole importer of petroleum, so it is on the balance sheet of the NNPC that the subsidy is being taken. Now, let me say also that if today you were to remove subsidies, petrol prices could go up to as high as 220 naira per liter, could even go higher. Now, there is no country in the world, at least even the most developed countries, that don't run one kind of subsidy regime or the other. For the simple reason that sometimes you just need to take some of that effect, some of the cost effect away from your citizens. So, for example, America subsidizes agriculture, subsidizes production, subsidizes all sorts of things. Now, if you have a petrol subsidy, and I'm not saying that it must be there forever, but if you have the petrol subsidy, it helps. Because the moment you remove the subsidy, prices go up. We experienced it earlier on in the regime. Prices went up from 86 to 145 naira per liter. And then there was cost-push inflation. Transportation prices go up, food prices go up, even rents go up, everything goes up. Now, while consumer spending is weak, and while we're trying to develop the economy and develop the capacity of the people to spend money, I think that a subsidy, at least a minimal subsidy, is useful now. And that's why I think that the subsidy regime is one that we can tolerate, but obviously we must remove it as time goes on. But we can't remove it immediately. Otherwise, we'll suffer the consequence.
Thank you very much. Candidate of the PDP.
Well, what we are subsidizing today is inefficiency. If you get it right, the price will still come down. There's no way a country can have a budget of 340 billion naira for health, which translates to 5 naira a day for its citizens, and then pay 1 trillion for subsidy. There's no way you can have an education budget, which is the most critical component of your development, at 400-something billion, and you're paying subsidy of 1 trillion. It is a waste. You need to reverse it, because you're not paying, they're not dealing with the engine that will drive your economy tomorrow. Everybody knows that even petroleum itself is a package economy. At the time people are developing a new economy, and then you're not paying attention to that. What are you actually subsidizing? Look at it. Nigeria has one of the low car ownership in the world. It's 10 per 1,000. So we have only 2 million vehicles, and you're paying almost 1 trillion when you have 87 million people that are poor. You can't do that. It's totally, you need to reverse it. And I can tell you, if you do the right things, the price will come down, because you're just paying for the delay in importation, the number of time cargoes stay in the port, and everything. We can't continue to pay for inefficiency in this country. I can tell that you can remove it, do the right things, the price of petroleum will come down.
Thank you very much. Candidate of the YPP.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Well, we've never been in government before, but the people that are presently and those that were have said a lot about the subsidy. I could remember during Jonathan, when subsidy was removed, Nigeria was shut down. We were all out, which leads to a lot of things now. And along the line, during the early regime of President Muhammadu Buhari, still subsidy is removed. And Nigerians were so patient, thinking that we are going to achieve something. So I think you throw a question to us, but I don't think, as I'm standing here today, have much to contribute, but to throw it to Nigerians. There is subsidies removal and still subsidy removal, and nothing has been done. I still had them saying they are still paying subsidy, and the lives of Nigerians have not improved, and we've not seen anything substantial or something tangible on the ground. So to be candid, subsidy to a typical Nigerian is just a scam. That's how I will call it, the way President Buhari once said it in the newspaper. Thank you.